All right, here we are at the last section of this incredibly long flipped classroom. Thanks for sticking with me here. Just for your reference, the massive change of the Industrial Revolution and migration and working conditions and urban conditions, those deal with Roman numeral 5 or 5.1, Roman numeral 6, letter C. That's the conditions part. And then the migration part is key concept 5.4, Roman numeral 1, A and B, and Roman numeral 2A. So that all has to do with migrations. Now we're going to get into reactions of industrialization. In the long term, obviously in America today, for example, we don't see these types of conditions in factories like we saw in the 1800s. And that is because of these reactions. That's not to say that there aren't factories around the world where these conditions are in place, but we don't see them in these places that industrialized early. And that's because we had a lot of outrage and new laws to limit especially child's labors in terms of hours and also in terms of punishment. Kids were getting beaten for falling asleep on the job, basically, and, being kids. So those types of things became illegal. Also, in order to probably to help with the urge to revolt against their incredibly harsh existences, and to achieve a better way of life, the proletariat they were pretty angry about things. And so different countries did different things to try to make them less angry, I guess you could say. This deals with 5.1 Roman numeral 5A and D, and 5.3 Roman numeral 4A. So both about the limits of and the changes in industrialization, and then also these new philosophies that have come about. So one of the things that they did was start to use state pensions and public health measures in Germany. This was done under Otto von Bismarck, who is going to come up a lot because he is really instrumental in the creation of the German state. So one of the things he does is make pensions for workers 70 years of age and older. That was 1889, and it was lowered to 65 when it was figured out that people really didn't live to 70 at this time in Germany, and so the state could afford to lower that down to 65. In Great Britain, there was expanding voting rights. Males with minimal property were added, and there were movements for women to start to get the vote, but like I said, they did not get it until World War II, or after World War I. So you can see the percentage of people who could vote in Britain going up. Whoops, that arrow is wrong there. We cross over. Going up over time. And also, last but not least, public education. Students, because they were no longer working, you needed a place to have your kids while you were at work, so they were put into public education. The early public schools were meant to model factory work and to get people ready for factories. This is why students were moving with bells, and also why all of their desks were in rows, and the first desks in rows were actually nailed and kept in those rows. You couldn't move the rows around to simulate a factory. There were also philosophical reactions. There was utopianism, sponsored by people like Fourier and Owen. And then there was revolution. And this dealt with the philosophy of socialism, the most famous, which is Marx and Engels. Now, Marx thought that pretty much these utopianists were kind of full of it, maybe, let's say. But he believed that he believed in the equitable society that they were trying to restore. He just thought that they were really not going about it the right way. They wanted to do more than simply restructure society, and believed that the capitalist world had to be destroyed through revolution. Now, especially in places where industrial revolution was really harsh, like incredibly harsh, places like Russia, um, communism actually pretty much took off. And this belief that every aspect of the capitalist world had to be destroyed was pretty popular in some areas. Another popular thing were trade unions, and these were attacked by factory workers, but they did improve working conditions and improve living conditions for the working class. And some people believe that these unions actually prevented larger scale revolutions because they were able to keep the people happier. Um, this picture here depicts how the communists would see the world. Basically, the entire pyramid of the capitalist system rests on the workers who gain no wealth. They are supporting this entire system of bourgeoisie who go after them. And you can see what Marx thinks of the military, the church, the leadership, etc. by this cartoon. And that is the chapter 30 flipped classroom. Please remember to do the form once you've finished.